Amon has been, well, he did say during that rally or that secret underground meeting that he has been hurt by benders. Like his entire family has been wiped out by benders, particularly a firebender, and that his father was extorted by a firebender, and that his family was filled with non-benders, and that's why they could not really fight back with the firebender. The firebender had obvious advantages over them, and he was able to bully them around. Now, when his father did confront that firebender, things went out of control, and Amon says that he hides his face because his face is burned. And now, a lot of people wants to speculate who Amon is and could be in relation to the old series. I'm not really speculating anything at the moment concerning that. I mean that he could be anyone. I do think that maybe his story could be false, but some of his ideals, if they were taken in normal light, they're not completely bad. It is true that if you saw from the first episode that the triple threat triads were actually bullying non-benders. So Amon isn't totally in the wrong when he says that benders actually do bully non-benders, and that benders think that they have an advantage over non-benders because of their bending skills. And also, if you think of how most of Republic City operates and how most of the police force is filled with benders, then people in the factory who work are filled with benders, and then even one of the most important sports, pro bending, is the filled with benders, then you can understand why Amon would feel that as non-benders, people are considered to be too ordinary, too like as I said, too worthless in a sense, or not really worthless, but they could have the feeling of worthlessness, or they would think that they're like so powerless or so vulnerable that they're not able to do a lot of things. Now, of course, the counter argument could be because yeah, but those people have bending powers, so they're probably able to achieve more than non-benders could. But if you say that, then that's actually more of an empirical statement. How can we be possible? Like, how can we possibly know that the non-benders could not achieve the same sort of great feats as benders can? Because from what I've noticed, that the equalist weapon and power and the way that they're able to attack and organize, that's actually quite impressive for a bunch of non-benders. I do admit that what Amon is doing is wrong, because that still doesn't give him the right to take away other people's bending powers, as somebody in YouTube commented in Uber Hikari's comment page, that taking away bending is also taking away their identity, because we saw what happened with Tano. If you guys don't remember who Tano is, he is one of the pro benders from the Wolf Bats, which was the winning team. And if you think about how Tano lost his bending and was then totally disrupted from his normal state of affairs, and he got really psychologically messed up, then yes, I do believe that, that what Amon is doing is absolutely wrong. Because initially, Amon's message, which was being delivered by someone in the park, seemed understandable. That why should benders always get special privileges just because they're benders? But at the same time, when you look at what Amon is doing to the benders, that's also equal. That's equally wrong. In fact, he's trying to respond hurt with hurt, which doesn't always work out well. And he's not actually responding with hurt, he's responding hurt with annihilation, which really makes him a very horrible and also sinister character. But Amon's central ideal, if it was taken out of that context, seems also understandable. Why is it that benders are given more privileges than non-benders? Why is it that we haven't seen many non-benders around who are in the police force, or who work in the factories, or who have other tournaments or games and things like that? So basically, this is also one of the things of the series that I didn't like. The equalists are not really being understood. Like, Korra is going all out the way to fight the Equalists, which is good. I would want her to stop Amon hurting other people. But she's not understanding that why would non-benders feel vulnerable and helpless in a city that is dominated by benders? I know that it's hard to understand considering the fact that the Avatar is the quintessential bender, the person who's able to bend all four elements. Now, I think that if Amon does take away temporarily uh, Korra's bending, then maybe she'll probably be able to understand how difficult it is to live as a minority, almost in a sense. Because if you notice that Republic City is operating as a real life city, trying to show the non-benders as a form of minority, if that's not their aim, I kind of did look at it like that, and how many non-benders feel insecure and not apt to the same privileges that benders do. So if Amon temporarily does take away Korra's power, as we did see Amon trying to do in the grand finale season promo, then I think Korra would be able to understand why non-benders feel the way they do and how Amon is able to manipulate their feelings. Like, Amon's central ideal is not totally wrong, but the way he's executing it is wrong. It's like you want democracy, but trying to win democracy by subjugating other people is not totally correct. So, and subjugating them in the way like taking away their special privileges, or not even their special privileges, like their inborn talents or inborn gifts, is obviously not fair. So I consider Amon to be antagonistic, but as a primary antagonist, I don't completely look at him like that, like, because he is a bully like Fire Lord Ozai, but I think that he has more reasons of being a bully if his story about his family being hurt by a bender checks out. Now, there could also be a very good idea that that could have been a lie. He probably made a lie so that he can get the sympathy and get people's empathy for him. So there could also be just a certain jealousy complex or inferiority complex or something at work here. But when I see Amon, I think of Amon also as a very strong person, despite not being a bender. If you've seen the recent episode, and if you haven't, this is a spoiler information. So I would suggest that, I hope you don't blame me later for spoiling episode 9 for you. But when Tarlok is trying to attack Amon, Amon really does not get hurt. It seems Amon has a lot of control over his body, which is actually also a big contrast with Korra. Korra sometimes doesn't have a lot of control over certain things, but Amon in this sense is very, very equanimous, I should say. Like, he presents this equanimous exterior. I don't know much about his mental prowess. I know that he's calculative. We know that he's very smart, and he has he's a very good tactician, but I'm not sure what else he can do mentally, aside from taking away people's bending powers and stuff like that. So Amon is antagonistic, but he is the primary antagonist, but I do hope that these other issues are addressed. I feel that the show is not really addressing them. One of the best things about the first series was that you had a person, like the Fire Lord, who was so bent on power and control. Now that's wrong. And we did see how Zuko at first just wanted to prove himself to his father, but then realized that he doesn't need to because his father is, wrong, and that he doesn't also need to prove himself to Azula, anybody else. He just needs to prove himself to himself and to his friends. But with Amon, it's like we only see glimpses of him. We do understand what he's trying to do. But at the same time, we are not getting the bigger picture of Amon. We're not also trying to get the bigger picture of the revolution he's trying to start. Is the revolution really a bad thing? Like, yeah, what he's trying to do is trying to take away Bender's bending skills. But if you think about it, if he's the only one able to take away Bender's bending skills, then that's also very problematic. How is he going to take away bending skills from every bender in the world? That's gonna that's not possible. And but I do understand his ideology that he wants equal treatment for both benders and non-benders, which as it should be. But I've noticed like Tarlock, Councilman Tarlock, not really giving that, because during episode 8 when he made that curfew, Tenzin protested saying that it's wrong because we cannot treat every non-bender as an enemy to the state, which obviously is correct. But if you notice how Tarlok was acting, we should actually ask, was Amon totally wrong? If you see Tarlok acting, then you would actually realize he wasn't completely wrong, because people like Tarlok, the benders that, like him, like the triple threat triads and everything like that, they do act like that. They think that just because they can bend, they could bully around the non-benders. So no wonder people are wanting to join Amon's revolution. They want a place where they don't have to feel inferior or feel that they can't be any good because they can't bend. So that's understandable. But at the same time, what Amon is doing is also wrong. He wants to take away people's bending away. Who gave him the right to do that? That's their inborn quality. And it's like trying to take away people's lands that they got, or something that they have, which is passed down for generation till generation, and they've had it for their families for years. It's not only possession, it could be something ingrained within. And if you think about that, then obviously what he's doing is wrong. But there is this contradiction in Amon, as there's also this contradiction in Tarlok, that they're both, and that's what it shows. Both, that what it meant with episode 8. I think it was called Two Sides of Extreme or something, because it showed that both of them are contradictory characters. One of them is supposed to hold up the law, but is not really doing that. He's using the law to imprison people rather than liberate them. And the other one is trying to liberate people, but is also imprisoning the few, or trying to liberate them from their impurities. But what sort of impurities do they have? That's just bending. So I consider Amon antagonistic and a primary antagonist, but yes, I don't completely disagree with the fact that with the equalist ideology that things should be fair, but I do not like the way that they're executing it. Like, things should definitely be fair amongst people, but that, and then the same way I'm not supporting Tarlock. The most conscious council member I've noticed is Tenzin, because Tenzin is the one who's looking out for both equal balance between non-benders and benders. But definitely I have not seen both Tarlock or Amon do that. So basically the equalist strategy is stupid, and so is the strategy that's being employed by Tarlock. Round up the non-members, give them curfew, give them this, give them that. This would create more of a disparity between the two classes. In fact, this class difference is also very city centered. It wasn't really there in the first series that we saw. But it was shook up because of the fact that most of the benders were getting a lot of things, and not the non-benders. But that could be easily be solved if you have non-benders, if you have councilmen revising laws and rules and everything like that. But obviously that wasn't happening. So Amon took control of a chaos that was already present in Republic City. and now he is exploiting it. Like when he was taking away, again, another spoiler from episode 9, if you haven't seen it. um, he was taking away Tarlok's power and saying, "We have just been equalized," or something like that. And I was like, how has Tarlok become equalized in a way? By taking away his powers, you haven't really, you still have the upper hand on him. You made him you made him your hostage, you know? But I can understand having a councilman like that is a good hostage thingy, but like it's obviously also something to think about. So there's both contradictory forces in both the law holders in Republic City and also the antagonist, the equalist. And I hope that Korra gets to realize this. This is one thing about the series that I don't like, that Korra is not really being cerebral. She's really, really being aggressive. She's fighting. She's doing a lot of things. She's also doing a lot of clever things. And she's also a good strategist. But she's not thinking philosophically about any of the situations that are being presented to her. Like, this is also could be a part of Korra's aggression. Because if you think about it, Aang is more calmer, so that's why he ruminates more, and Korra doesn't. But I really wish that Korra would, concerning the fact that she's older than Aang. So and one of my friends noticed this, and obviously I agree with him. He said that Korra, even though she can't airbend, and maybe she's not as calm as Aang, but she is older than him. So she should have this avatar sort of spirituality, but she doesn't, which sometimes irks me because it kind of makes me feel that I like the fact that Korra is an action hero, but I would also like her to be somebody who is assertive also philosophically and spiritually. Now, she does mention that the White Lotus did say that she's spiritually lacking, and that she can't meditate well, and all those things. But you know, you don't really need to meditate to understand those sort of things. You just need the sort of propensity to kind of divulge into those sort of things. So I wish Korra would do that more. Obviously, as it's a older series, you do have older interactions. You see a lot of things that you would not see in the other series. For example, there is a love triangle, which one of that friend who was talking for didn't like. He thought it was too, mushy gushy. But in some ways, I did like it because it showed a lot about teenage feelings, or probably adult feelings at times, that you like someone, but then you might also like another person, so you get confused. But still, it's kind of obvious that Mako kind of likes Asami because she looks pretty. But Mako really likes Korra for everything. Like, she is pretty, like not the traditional pretty. I've noticed that Korra is very, very athletic, and she has a very different sort of build, and that she's muscular, and she's sporty, as you could say. And she's very, if you hold her in generic terms, a tomboy. And Asami is totally the difference of that. She, no matter how much she kind of drives well, race cars and things like that, she's pretty much a girly girl in comparison to Korra. So obviously, I think that Mako likes Korra a lot, but he's kind of confused about who to like. But I think that confusion should ebb, because I've noticed that he likes Korra a lot more intensely than he likes Asami. And Bolin, I feel bad for Bolin because like he also liked Korra a lot, and Korra didn't completely like him back romantically. But and also another thing I don't like is that though Mako it's so obvious he likes Korra more, he's kind of aloof, but when he's with Asami, he kind of acts too gushy, you know, which kind of annoys me at times. I feel that that's not like that. I don't know. That's not really my sort of thing. Like when I saw Zuko with May, I've noticed that, or is it Mai? I'm sorry, I forgot. But when Zuko was with May, it was totally different. Like, they had a complicated relationship too, but they had it in, ironically, their one was more matured. But I see Mako with Asami and go like, yeah, that's totally a teenage thing going on over there. Not really something serious. And with episode 9, again, another spoiler, I really have felt like a confirmation to that belief, seeing that he's so worried about Korra, and they hardly have done anything together except for sharing one kiss, but yet he feels more in tune with Korra than he is with Asami. So, yes, I do want that the series, as Uber Hikari say, to go a bit more steadily. Being too fast paced is not always a good thing. I feel that as the series holds greater chunks of philosophy and greater chunks of disparity and greater chunks of ideologies, it shouldn't really fast forward everything. Like, there's an internal conflict. This is also actually more serious than the old series, because the conflict there was very external. You had the Fire Nation that was doing all these things, and you didn't have an internal conflict all the time. But now the main bulk of this series is that there's an internal conflict inside Republic City, and that's basically between non-benders and benders. It doesn't matter which caste or creed you come from, like which tribe or which kingdom or which nomadic group or which nation you come from. It basically has to do with this inborn skill of yours that either can you bend or not bend, and that makes you now into a bending class and a non-bending class, which is obviously a very, very, as I said, a city-based thing, but also a very more serious attribute towards the whole series. So, yeah, I'm enjoying Legend of Korra. I would like to see what happens. I am interested to see the finale, but I would like Korra to address more of the things that I talked about. That she can't always be just, yeah, I'm gonna take out the bad guy. That'll make this thing very cliche. She should understand why the bad guy is a bad guy, and why are people following this specific bad guy. You know, uh, I think that would make it more sense. But yeah. And on a good note, I like the character designs, and I did like the architecture, as I said. And architecture is very beautiful. They even made their own uh, Persian sort of version of the Eiffel Tower, and they also made beautiful landscapes and beautiful uh, use of texture and color to bring out the entire city and make it stand out as the landmark that it is. They have that beautiful stadium and everything like that, which is shaped very nicely and everything. Stadium is a bit weird at times, but it's okay. It works. I don't know. It looks very Persian and Russian mix. Um, it's nice, and the Northern tribe. I've noticed this, that most of the Northern Water tribe people, they they come they come across a bit antagonistic. If you remember the first series, when they go to the Northern Water tribe, how everybody's talking to them, how everybody's interacting with them, Princess Yui's fiance, and how Sokka got mad at him and everything like that. It kind of funny that the Northern Water tribe is usually very chaotic in comparison to the Southern Water tribe. So yeah, I'm liking the series, but I hope it addresses more situations and talks more about different things. I think that'll work well for the series, and that's about it. Well, I feel a bit relieved that I finished talking, and I know that this is my first YouTube video, like commenting like this, that there's a lot of glitches, and it kind of might even, as you say, suck. But I hope you're patient with me and understand that this is the first time I'm doing this, and I have never really commented like this before in YouTube. So please bring your comments of the series. Tell me what you think. Tell me what speculations or presumptions that you might have. I look forward to reading them. So thank you. Astromaxis out.